Welcome, everyone, to the Pinnacle Combat Sports Podcast. This is episode 11. I'm here with Dano, as always. What's going on, Dan? How you doing?
What's up, dude? What's going on?
I literally just woke up like 20 minutes ago.
I woke up like this. This is how I woke up. Take me or leave me. This is how I woke up. That's good though. It's well, there's that comes with an asterisk, dude. It's not like it's that late for you.
No,
You
yeah.
know?
But I was up late last night, so I watched these fights at the bar, so I wasn't
You
really
got a
paying
party.
attention.
Somebody,
Yeah.
you party hard. This is what happens.
Yeah.
You know?
This is what
Yeah.
happens.
You wake up and you're like, "What's for lunch?" That's kind of what it is. But no, it was some good fights, man. It was what'd you think of? I know you said that. I know, especially when I watch them by myself at a bar, I kind of tend to fade out of some of them sometimes.
Yeah.
So I know what you mean. Like when you're with someone, it's kind of like more like you're watching it and then talking in between rounds. But it was some good fights. I wonder what stuck out to you for those ones as far as that goes, since there was not a whole lot you remember.
Well, that undefeated guy looked great.
Didn't he look awesome?
Yeah. So I'm looking forward to seeing more of him. Who was
Was
his
it
name?
Tyra?
Tyra, yeah.
What's his first? I had to look up his first. Is it
Tatsuro?
Tatsuru?
Something like that, yeah.
I gotta start.
16-0.
I gotta get that name. Tatsuru Taira. Yeah, I gotta get that name down because yes, I agree. He's gonna be a problem. He's only 24.
Yeah.
He has a piston right hand. He has one of those. I wonder if I know because he's Japanese, so I wonder if he has like a baseball background because he's got a really good right hand. The thing's like he's going to be a problem, especially his jiu-jitsu is ridiculous too.
Yeah.
It was unfortunate how the fight ended, but were you watching that body triangle he had on him that kind of led to the knee getting bent the wrong way?
Yeah.
You see, that was really slick what he was doing, man. I haven't seen many people doing that. I haven't seen many fighters get a body triangle and kind of like loop around. They kind of like almost coil down the opponent fighter's leg, and then he's kind of like almost extending his torso and everything out, and kind of like using momentum and force to try to drag. Like that was really cool.
Yeah, that was crazy.
What he was doing.
Yeah.
That was I didn't really think of that before. I haven't seen anyone really try that. You've seen people when they have a body triangle and someone's standing up, you see them maybe push off the cage. They can't grab the cage, but they can push off of it.
Yeah.
I think. And you saw him do that too, but that ending sequence, it was unfortunate to see the leg what happened to the knee, but it's not like he did it on purpose. It was just a powerful, that's a solid move.
Yeah. Part of the game, bro.
That's just how, yeah, exactly. There's nothing you can do about that, You can only try to worry about your own knees. You can't worry about everything around you.
Yeah.
You can get yourself hurt if you're worried about all that. So
That dude,
but it was just
impressive though, man. I was
very much so.
blown away by watching that dude. He's really good.
Yeah, his distance is really good. He's very fast, very quick. He took some shots. So I mean, I know Perez hits hard, and he took some shots. And you kind of looking forward. It's like I would love to see how he progresses. It's way too soon for this to happen, but it's not too soon for us to talk about it. It would be really cool to see him, like, let's just say Pantoja, which very well could hold on to that belt for another year or two.
Oh yeah.
And then you kind of see Taira kind of climb up the ranks, and then as far as the way his striking is mixed with his age and that ground game, it would be interesting to see him see how he stacks up against someone like Pantoja that has a crazy ground game in his own right. One of the best probably in that division, I would imagine. I'm not sure on that, but that would be awesome.
If the UFC is going to keep this flyweight division around, which it looks like they are,
and they should.
And they should. I think they should too.
Absolutely.
I bet you're going to see a lot of fighters come from one. And once their contracts are up and they have the opportunity to, now that a lot of those smaller Asian fighters over there are kicking ass and they're putting on great shows, I'm sure Dana and UFC, they're watching, and once their contracts are up, I'm sure they're going to get some opportunities here in the UFC to fight too.
Absolutely. Plus, that's even a good segue for. I don't know if we've even talked about it yet. I think he's a bantamweight. I don't know if he's from Japan or if it's, I almost said North Korea. I don't think it's North Korea.
Yeah, probably not. I don't think they're allowed to do anything there. they,
They don't
they're
even know
lucky
what
if they
MMA
eat
is.
in North
So
Korea.
yeah, they don't. Yeah, yeah, they're yeah. So he's either South Korean or I think Japanese. I don't think he's Chinese, but either way, he's on that like that wave of Asian MMA, and he was in Ryzen. He just vacated his
Is
belt to
this the
come over.
guy you sent me a link to the other day?
Yes,
Okay, yeah,
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 he looks like a beast too.
yeah. I saw
And
the
it's cool
clips of his
because
fight.
he's doing it at the right time, in my opinion. Because instead of you wasting some of your prime years defending a belt in one, if that's not your goal, it's no knock on one. That's a fantastic organization with great fighters in it. But we all know what the best organization
Yeah.
for MMA is in today, and it's just the way it is.
The big leagues.
And exactly, so
But
that's
like
where he wants to go.
I do like how one gives people the opportunity to change. Like you can have like a Muay Thai fight or just jiu-jitsu
That's
fight.
awesome.
I think that's really cool that they do.
That'll
that.
separate them. That'll separate them from the pack in a lot of ways because I view them as far as product. I think they're one of the best. I think they're number two.
Mm-hmm.
I think a lot of people look at like maybe PFL because they got Bellator and that folded in. I think when I watch their fights, and it's probably part of what you said. I think that's my number two to watch as far as because there are some killers over there that you don't even know the names of. But that was just and I kind of screwed up on that. He's not coming from one; he's coming from Ryzen. So I don't really know what their roster's like. But still, if you're in your prime and you just won the title, that's enough. Like go over to really test yourself where you want to go instead of So it's kind of perfect timing, I think, for him.
Yeah, if you want to progress, you have to give yourself harder challenges. So
absolutely. Plus the Japanese.
Yeah.
The Japanese have always had that honorable mentality, and that's such an honorable the way he kind of like approached it, and he was like asking for permission to vacate it and go to the UFC from like Ryzen. The way he did it just seems like it's just like such a mixed martial arts type mixed with like a Japanese culture that's just it's just a very honorable thing to do.
What is his name? I don't think we said his name.
I'm gonna look it up because I had it saved and I don't know if I
Oh, it's in our.
If you want to touch, I'll check. Oh, okay, that's actually perfect. Good idea. We can jump into the next thing. We were going to talk about Tank.
Well,
he had a big win.
Before we get onto that, you told me there was a couple other fights that you really liked from last night.
Oh, for sure. We'll talk
UFC.
about that. And by the way, his name, born on Halloween. Wow. Jim. He is Japanese. Kai Asakura.
Nice.
We have to keep an eye on him from Japanese top team. So we'll keep an eye on him. He's a bantamweight, I believe. Okay, but you were talking. Yeah, that's right. So last night, like I said, Taira looked awesome. Miles John was pretty dominant against a dangerous fighter in Douglas Silva de Andrade.
Yeah, did he fight? Did he fight a couple months ago, Silva de Andrade? He did.
I bet you he's a pretty active. He's a pretty active fella. I bet you that's.
He was on one of the fight nights. I'm pretty sure that we watched a month or two ago.
But
yeah, Miles John looked great.
He really did.
I watched that one too.
Dude was dangerous throughout, and because Miles John hurt him. He hurt him in one round. I can't remember if it was the second or third, but he hurt him in one round. But for the most part, he was just pretty much in control. As dangerous as DeAndre is, it's just because I don't think he's ever been stopped. So maybe submitted, but I don't think he's ever been stopped. So he was close. So it was a big feather in his cap to get a win off someone like that. And then Lucas Almeida looked great. I don't know if you saw that one.
No.
Well,
I watched some of it. Actually, I did watch some of it, but I wasn't completely paying attention.
Yeah, he looked very good. He was giving up some speed, but he got timing down on Kuwamba. I think his name's Kuwamba, and he really started to. He hurt him like multiple times in the fight. He looked sharp. And then my favorite fight of the night was Brady Highstand and Garrett Armfield. That fight was awesome.
All right, I'll have to watch that today. Then.
Yeah, you definitely have to because it's not going to even ruin it. Me saying what happened. So it's like fight starts out. I'm pretty sure was it Garrett because they're both super slick on the ground, dude. So Armfield got high stand in an arm bar first round, right, very early on. They're all dry and everything.
Oh, wow.
It was super close. He got out of it, and then it kind of went back and forth. Even Brady high stand, he got out of that arm bar, and then later in the fight, second round, maybe whatever, he got hurt real bad, and it looked like they were going to stop it, but they didn't. Held on, and then he wins by submission in the third.
Wow.
It was an awesome fight. Awesome fight.
All
so
right. I have to watch that. That sounds good.
Definitely that one. The judges were good last night, I think, for the most part, as far as I can tell. Josh Quinlan, Adam Fugit, that was like, I probably would have given it maybe to Quinlan, because he was just a little more dangerous in his punches. And Fugit landed a lot of like kicks and everything, but I don't know. I didn't see it the same way, but it wasn't a robbery by any means. It was a split decision. They gave it a Fugit.
Yeah.
I probably, because that's what's cool about that. Like, shout out to that verdict app. That verdict app's really cool, dude. So I could all score the fights as I'm watching it. Just that I think it kind of helps with this. That way I kind of keep a track on who won what round. So I remember what happened in what round.
Oh, yeah. That's
as
good.
Best as I can tell, as best as I can tell. But Fugit looked good, man. Don't get me wrong. And I'm not saying he didn't win. I just don't think I scored it the same. But and I think it was the first round that might have been the difference, because that was might have been a close round that they gave to Fugit, but I think Quinlan won the first round. But either way, that was a pretty good fight. I think the only fight that I missed was Nate Maness and Jimmy Flick. But as far as the prelims go, they weren't, in my opinion, they weren't overly exciting. There's a lot of seemed like submissions were kind of the move last night. There was quite a few of those.
Yeah.
There weren't a lot of eye pokes. That's cool. there was
Those new gloves, huh?
There was a couple in the main event that were a little they were dicey, but I think there were only 2 or 3 in the whole event, I think. And so hopefully that's what it is. But they were hopping on a big time, and I agreed. They're talking about the stupid rule. I don't get it. It's a dumb rule. When they're talking about, they're like, the refs will be like, keep your hands closed or keep your hands open, but your fingers up. I'm like, that makes no sense. So I can have my fingers out extended, but they're up, not facing the eye at that time. But as soon as we start moving, where do you think things are going to go?
Yeah.
It should just be, if that's it. If you're going to extend out and maybe grab a wrist, that's fine, but that's not the face. So you need to be responsible with that. I don't understand why they should just cut that all out. If you're going to extend out, extend with a closed fist. If you're going to grab a wrist to control, go for it, but don't extend, push off the forehead. That's kind of what they were doing.
Well, that's what Sean Strickland, when he was asked about the new gloves, he's like, I don't get it, man. He's like, with eye pokes, he's like, just close your fists. You're in a fight.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
I don't get it. I don't.
I don't know why we have to be treated like, children here. He's like, you're in a fight. Close your fists. That's it.
Yeah.
Done. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's how they're approaching it too. Like they're saying, you'll see it when you watch. You did a few stuff at the bars. You don't hear the sound as much, but they were talking about it.
Yeah.
Because there's a couple little eye pokes, and it's more like the rakes. But that shit sucks, man. Like, I poked my own eye just sitting down, just moving my hand across my face, and you just poke your eye, and you're like, that kind of hurt. Yeah. Like, not like I need a timeout, but it's like that's just how sensitive that is. So it's like someone else doing it, it's just so much worse, man. That's I hate that. I hate that the most out of all the things that people talk about. Like, the weight cutting is what it is. At least you can adjust to it, and whatever. People do what they're going to do. But that one just really bothers me. Yeah. That would take me out of my whole. I was just picturing how it would be if I was in those shoes. It would take me out of my game completely if I had to keep worrying about someone extending their fingers out when I was trying to engage. It would bother me. So
yeah.
Yeah, I hope they fix that. I hope they tweak that a little bit. Like, you got to start warning people when they're doing that, because you see that in fights a lot.
Yeah, they definitely could warn people.
Yeah, because you don't have to take a point away. I'm just saying, like,
It's kind of like when
let's
they
just
like
say
kind of grab the cage and they go, "Hey, watch your fingers, watch the fingers."
exactly,
Just do stuff like
exactly.
that. That's all the ref has
Let's
to
just say it
say.
happens. Let's just say it happened 10 times last night in the event, and the
Yeah.
referees every time, all 10 times go, they shoot a warning out that first time. If half of them don't happen the next time, that's great. We could just cut. You could just cut the probability of those things happening.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was just thinking about that when I was watching it. That's one thing I do hate. But overall, good. It was a good fight card. It really showcased I almost said heavyweight, undefeated prospect flyweight. So, I enjoyed it. It was a good card. You got to watch that fight
Nice.
though, Jim. That one was
Yeah,
great.
I will for sure. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Let's get
high
into
standard. Armstrong.
Gervonta Davis last night against Frank Martin. Knockout in the 8th. That was
Boy, oh boy.
crazy, huh?
Yeah, he like knocked him out twice.
Yeah.
Because he landed that was like kind of like uppercut,
Yep.
and then you could tell it froze him, and then it kind of just put it on a tee. Tank was like, oh, here goes the next one. I'm like, well, you know what's gonna happen when he hits you the second time free. So that was nasty, dude.
And did you see
unreal
in the face-off where Gervonta made him flinch? Did you see that at all?
Oh my! And that's got to be so like it was 8th round. Yeah, okay, so it wasn't like Frank Martin's a beast in his own right, great boxer. They're all these guys are awesome, but it's just that's got to really like maybe not fuck with Frank Martin, but it probably just only makes Tank just more confident.
Yeah.
If something like that happens, he's like, just punked you. Like, yeah, it's one of those. I'm just saying how it looks as a fan as you're watching it. It could be nothing because it's like that's happened in fights, and the guy that had it done to beats the guy's ass. It's not it's not one size fits all. But that's right. That's got to feel like a good thing if you're Tank because he just wants to get. He's a knockout artist. He wants to get a reaction out of you.
Yeah, and
if he's getting you to flinch there.
I bet Gervonta's thinking, "Oh, I already got you beat."
Yeah, I think a lot of ways. Yeah, same. It's a similar thing with Tyson.
Yeah,
Tyson would just kind of look at you like he was about to like try to eat you. And like I think a lot of guys put that mean mug on, but like I don't think there's no there's not like I don't think there's anything conscious in Tyson where he's like I gotta look intimidating. I just think he just is that guy. He's always been that guy. So it's like I think Tank. I really am a big fan of Tank. I kind of like watching him fight.
Yeah, he's great. He's fun to watch.
He's just so economical too, because he knows he's such a good knockout artist. Excuse me. So he can really kind of just be patient and just kind of let the fight come to him. And then I don't know exactly what he's doing. I don't know that level, but I'm sure there's certain parts in the fight, certain times in the fights where he might set someone up, set a trap, and maybe not even take it, and then make them think they're like safe in that spot for later, and then be like, I'll get you later. Like that's how these guys are at a different level, even in the level they're fighting at. Like the 1% of the 1%, and I think that's what Tank is at his weight.
Yeah.
They were talking about him and Lomachenko. That'd be wild.
That'd be amazing.
No, but it's like. It's a dangerous fight for Lomachenko because I would lean towards Tank because if Tank just guesses right once, because Lomachenko's so movement heavy and so like he's always moving. If he makes one little dip, one little zig when he should have zagged, like it's a different So, but I want to see it.
I told you before we hit record that there was a video that was going around yesterday where
Yes.
There was some footage at one of the gyms of Tank and Devin Haney. They were doing? Like they were sparring or something, and it got really heated. And so both their teams went in the ring and were talking shit, and it was pretty heated, man. So I don't know. There's a lot that could happen. Ryan Garcia's still there. Devin Haney. Lomachenko, like you said, it's all good. So I can't wait to see what happens. But getting any fights signed is like, that's actually another thing with boxing that's actually kind of cool. Is like it's so hard to get anything signed and ready to go that like you actually don't know what's going to happen. We can kind of predict who certain fighters are going to fight in UFC. Like after a big win, they're like, okay, well, these two fighters make sense, and usually, it'll happen. But in boxing, like, you have no idea what they're going to do next.
In a lot of ways, it's true. I wonder if what part of that is us just not being as close to it.
There's probably
There's
definitely some of that for sure.
A little bit of that, yeah. But you're definitely right too. There's definitely that. A little more unpredictability. But man, I'm looking forward to seeing. I like a lot of. There's a ton of those weight classes. It's like I don't want to miss a Tank fight. I don't want to miss a Lomachenko fight. I don't want to miss don't want to miss a Bud Crawford fight.
Yeah.
Like that dude's just amazing. If they're even talking about him fighting Canelo. Imagine if he beats Canelo, dude.
That'd be crazy.
Because the weight that he naturally competes at, and then they'll say like, oh, Canelo fought Floyd. It's like that was so long ago, and I'm not taking anything away from the greatness of Canelo, but like there were some things that probably happened for him to get that much bigger. So, like, it's different, man. Like but that would be amazing if a guy like Bud Crawford could go up which seems like a huge jump. I don't know what the exact weight is, but I would assume it's probably like a boxing equivalent to like a 155 to 170 in UFC. I'm not saying the weight's equal. I'm just saying like it's a big jump.
Yeah.
To move up in weight to fight, because Canelo's a clearly bigger guy. Because they were also talking about, I don't know much about him, but I've heard a lot about him. As far as just people talking about, was it David Benitez? He fought last night too.
Oh yeah, yep.
I think he kind of rolled for the most part in one only maybe lost 2 or 3 rounds or whatever. But I'm pretty sure he won pretty handily. I didn't see that though, but
yeah. Also, speaking of Floyd Mayweather, you mentioned him earlier. He just announced a rematch against John Gotti. Did you see that?
Okay. So didn't they recently, what was the recent thing?
Let me see here. I just looked it up.
Is that a boxer or is that the MMA fighter, the nephew? Is that a different Gotti?
Next with rematch to settle feud after ugly end to first clash. John Gotti the third.
Yes, so isn't that the guy that was MMA fighter? That's like the nephew of John Gotti.
I'm not sure.
Is that right? I feel like that dude was an MMA fighter first. Maybe he started boxing, then went to MMA. I'm not sure.
No, you're right. John Gotti is 5-1 in MMA and 2-0 as a professional boxer before he faced unbeaten Mayweather.
That's funny. Okay, I mean, at this point, Mayweather's just kind of like,
never mind. Sorry. And it's going to be in Mexico City.
Fun.
August 2nd. August 24th, sorry.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, I'm so uninterested with a lot of these boxing matchups that are professional.
Yeah.
I just mean like more so like if the two boxers involved are like either fighting for a title or both ascending towards that goal. Otherwise, it's like a lot of these fights just kind of end up looking like glorified sparring matches or just mismatches. They're just like not that eventful.
Yeah, I hear
which kind of like ties to what you said. I forgot. I knew it was happening. I just didn't know it was last night. Anderson Silva and Chael Sonnen had their boxing match.
Yeah.
You said?
Same, yep.
You said it was pretty uneventful?
Yeah, and it turned out to be a draw. So that was exactly what you just said, like a glorified sparring match. That's what it sounds like.
I just don't. I think they've already buried that thing long. I'm sure it's pretty real back in the day because, Chael Sonnen, he really gets under your skin and a lot, like, very different than most. Like, it's probably like I think the worst. I don't even think he's good at it. I just think the worst as far as how far he takes it is Colby Covington. I just think he just takes low blows. I don't think that's good trash talk.
Yeah.
To say shitty things. Like, he lost me as soon as he was talking about Leon Edwards with his dad. I was like, you lost me, bro. Because that's the type. Then no wonder you got walked up on him and hit like that. Like, stop it. Like, then you don't feel bad for a guy like that.
Yeah.
It's like you run your own mouth with that bullshit. So that one doesn't really. But other than that, it's like I think it's like Chael Sonnen and Connor. As far as like their trash talk goes far, and they really get under people's skin and they make them do things they don't really necessarily would want to do. I just think, I think Anderson Silva just wanted to hurt Chael so bad in those fights because he was just all that shit he talked. I think it's fueled a wrestler's what he's trying to do. And you saw what happened with Conor and Aldo, but it's like basically like a long-winded way of saying like I think they already buried the hatchet long ago with those fights. So this boxing match didn't have to happen because then there's no bad blood, there's no malice there anymore. So it's like
I think it was just a way to make a little bit of money because they're going into the Hall of Fame, and
that's fine. That's fine. I mean, I get it. If that was just given the event, you and me were in the same city that fight was taking place, we'd probably want to get tickets.
Yeah.
But as far as like pay-per-view and ordering and watching, there's better things I could be doing.
Yeah.
Than watching that, So
and I don't even know where they streamed it or whatever. Was it? I don't even know.
I don't know. I didn't really pay attention, and it just kind of snuck up on me. And the next thing you know, it's there. And
yeah,
I'm only on the outside watching like PFL as much as I can, but I don't need to. There's certain ones I'll watch, but
yeah, I watched a little bit again the other day.
I almost went to that. I was close. I was thinking about it. But
telling you to go, man. That would have been cool.
I think if the card was a little better, it was good, but I think if there's a few names the PFL has on their roster, if they were on the card, possibly.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, perfect example would be like if France, like it'd be too soon, but if Francis Ngannou had a fight announced from Wigan, I'm going to that. So
yeah, that'd be awesome.
That type of shit. Yeah, that'd be cool. So.
Well, let's get into the big. I know we've been talking for about a half hour now, but we haven't gotten into some of the big news, the UFC news that's happened this week.
Big news, yeah.
And there was for anyone who doesn't know, a couple weeks ago there was some worry and some talk about the Conor Chandler fight being off because of an injury. It was like on Sunday. I think we talked about it in the last podcast, actually.
We did, yeah. We mentioned it.
And then, like the day after, they were like, "Nope, everything's good." All the pre-order for the pay-per-views were back on and everything. And this past week, they announced that it was off. So I think Conor has. It looked like in the picture he had something going on with his ankle or something, and he apologized yesterday on his Instagram saying that the injury that he has. They didn't think it was going to need that much heal time, but it turned out it did. So they had to scrap the fight. They just postponed the fight, he said. So who knows if it'll happen or when or whatever. I'm not sure. But so that fight's off. At the same time, we find out that Khamzat Chimaev is in the hospital. And I don't know what. Do you know what he seemed like he was really fucked up.
I just don't. I don't know what gets him to that state. But someone has to some extent, like leading up to in these fight camps, has to protect him from himself because he's clearly just training too hard.
You think that's what it is? I don't know. Because this happened during COVID too. Remember when during COVID he was all messed up.
I think it's because he didn't. I don't think he stopped work like anything he was doing. So he's run your body into the ground. Like you can only be so physically, like the physical is going to break down just because you're mentally.
Yeah.
It's just, I just don't, something's got to be off there. Cause I'm not saying it, but it just seems like he gets super ill randomly. Like I just think he's that much of an absolute animal. That's all he's doing is training.
Yeah.
And I think you gotta do a little bit of a more recovery because I bet he doesn't do that enough. I don't know. It's just confusing with him because it's so disappointing because he's such a great fighter and he loses all his momentum when he has these things happen. Because like you said, it happened before.
Yeah.
It was like a few years ago.
Yeah, I thought it was during the COVID times.
Well, I don't know what it is. I hope he heals up quick and I hope he's fine. But I just think it's something. There's got to be. I don't know. I just think when something like that happens 2 or 3 times, it's got to be something you're maybe doing.
Yeah, and what's weird too
that could be prevented in a way.
A good coach knows how important recovery is. So I don't
Yes.
know why they're if that's the case. I don't even know what's wrong with the guy, but if that's the case, how is there no
Yeah.
one in his ear being like, "Hey man, just do it light today," or
That's all I was saying. That's all I'm saying. Cause it's just
yeah,
like activity is activity and he already has the dog in him. He's already a phenomenal MMA fighter. He has all the tool set. Like he went to war with Gilbert Burns. Like he's already answered most of the questions people have had. Because after that Gilbert Burns fight, you're like, he's the real deal, man.
yeah, yep,
Because, and I'm not, because the reason why I say it is because that's when you find out how great someone is when they're truly tested.
well,
Like if
that's what we were. That's what
everyone's
we
going to
were.
run through some people when
That
they're this high level.
yeah, and that's what we were hoping this fight would be. This fight, as
Yeah,
good
this
as
is another
Gilbert
one.
Burns is,
This is a different level.
Whitaker is a different. Oh,
It's a
I
bigger,
was so looking forward to that fight. Oh my god.
yeah, because I thought that was one of the first times you saw Chimaev not able to have his way with someone. So
Yeah.
then he had so many times where he was standing in front of someone. And if he has those against Robert Whitaker, it's a different level of
Yeah.
danger. Because Whitaker's a big fella. Because he had to move up to 170. Remember
Yeah.
him way back. Because he was probably killing himself, dude. That dude, he's a big boy and he's crazy too. That I was looking so forward to that fight, man. I'm a big fan of both guys. I'm a big Whitaker fan.
Yeah.
But Chimaev, you have to be a fan of Chimaev because he is so good. And it's not like my only beef with certain wrestlers is when you can tell they don't necessarily panic wrestle, but they have to get it there.
Yeah.
Chimaev's not that wrestler. He's just gonna maul you when he wants to, but he's so willing to stand and trade. It's a different. It's kind of like like you figure like Habib's more the mauler on the ground. You saw what you know what he's trying to do, and then like Makhachev was probably in the middle, and then Chimaev is like the extreme other side,
Yeah.
where it's like they all have different styles of what they're great at because they're all great at similar things. They're all really good boxers. They're all really good wrestlers. They all go for submissions and get them whenever they want, it seems. So those guys are so fun to like Makhachev. I'll be looking forward to watch Makhachev fight going forward because he's fighting guys that like you grew up loving like Poirier and things like that. It's hard to like really focus in on his greatness. And now that like it'll be like him and Sharukian when they fight, that's when you really see because he has to be probably skill wise. Like I think skill wise and technical wise, like skill wise, he's probably pound for pound the best. My pound for pound is still
yeah.
John Jones as long as he's living breathing. But as far as like the skill set and the technical ability,
Yeah, absolutely.
100% number one. So it's like,
I mean, just
sorry,
look
I
at
kind
his
of got off
last.
the rails there.
Just look at his last like 6 or 7 fights. It's just come on, like.
Oh my god,
And he's
man!
not. He's finishing them. That's the thing. It's
You
not
arm
like.
triangle, you arm triangle Charles Oliveira right there. You're like, oh man,
Yeah.
if you're submitting Charles Oliveira,
Yeah.
you're doing the right thing, man.
All right, but let's
That guy,
continue. Let's continue on. The other thing we didn't mention too is, in the heat of all this stuff happening and things changing, there's also another change. Jamal Hill is out against Alberg.
could
So
be a
that,
good thing. We'll get to that, but that could be a good thing for him, I think.
yeah,
To kind of like sit back, like take the time that people maybe were talking about him. Like I love that he wanted to run it back with anyone right away, just get a fight going. You love that, but at the same time, this could be a blessing in disguise because he'll get some more time to rest, some more time where he's not, taking as much damage.
yeah,
He can kind of like watch this unfold, and then in 2 weeks and see what happens with the landscape.
yeah,
So he's going to be fighting one of those winners, right?
yeah. You would think so? Yeah, for sure.
You would imagine if it's Olberg, maybe they rebook him with, or if Pereira wins again against Yuri, and then you could just be looking at him running it right back with Pereira at the end of the year, or you could see him fighting if Anthony Smith gets a big win against Olberg. You could see him fighting him as a title eliminator. There's a lot of potential fights that could come that come to fruition after this. So I think it's a good thing maybe for Jamal Hill to sit back and kind of. I'm sure he wanted to fight. They all want to fight. That's what makes these guys great. But it might be one of those things. Maybe his coach is telling him it's a good thing.
Yeah. Well, with all that said, let's explain. So, with all those changes, what we have now is only obviously with Chimaev out next week. Ikram Aliskerov jumped in
Yes.
to fill his place against Whitaker. What do you think about that?
Well, it's it's really good because he was supposed to fight on the Saudi Arabia card against someone else. So at least he's, I believe he's fighting upcoming. I don't know if it was that card, but it was in the next like few weeks. So he's already in a camp. So that's good.
Yeah.
His only loss is to Chimaev, coincidentally.
Yep.
So that's cool too. But I'm hard. It's hard to talk about this, Jim. I'm pretty sour on it. I'm bitter. Not bitter. Bitter's not. Sour's a good word.
Yeah.
I really wanted to see that fight happen. So
yeah, so did I.
I love both those guys. So it sucks, but I'm sure it's going to be a really good fight in its own right. It just kind of takes the juice away from that Saudi Arabia main card, if you ask me. But
the
still looking forward to it.
The rest of the card is great.
Very much so. No, the whole card through and through is awesome.
Yeah.
That's what I'm excited about. That cherry on top I was looking forward to.
Yeah,
but the best part of all that, of all the moves, was that fight that they announced as the co-main event for 303, in my opinion. 100%. Yes.
So real quick, before we get to that, let's start with the main event. They had to change the main event.
Yes.
And guess who stepped in? Alex Pereira.
Who else?
And Yuri Prohaska. Stepped
That's
in
awesome.
on 2 weeks' notice, or 3 weeks' notice at the most, to fight for the UFC Light Heavyweight Championship. This is going to be, it's going to be awesome. And Yuri's kind of crazy. You never know with that guy.
They're both crazy. They're both awesome because it's like Pereira. Pereira's just a silent assassin, just an absolute like gentle giant. Like you see him like at like meeting with like at a hospital with kids with cancer. It's like you just know what this man can do, and then like he just shows such a soft spot. And then
did you see the video of him driving in his McLaren?
No.
I don't know where he was, but after they announced the fight that he was fighting on 303, he was driving a McLaren with Alexander Volkanovski's song playing.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
He's the man. He's the guy in the UFC right now, I think. Like,
dude, like they said
if a casual fan, right? If they're not talking the biggest names, that's the guy that's active right now that people talk about the most, I would imagine.
And I think they said UFC 295, he stepped in on short notice when John Jones had to pull out too.
Man, so he's done that. Then he fought 300. I think they said either in the fight or leading up to the fight, around that 300 card. I think he had a couple broken toes. So it's like he's just right back to it. No big deal. Like, it's just when we have as much experience as him, it's probably a good thing because you skip a lot of the steps of the nerves and everything. You just get a fight in a couple weeks, and if you know you're close to 100% and in good shape and ready to go, you kind of know your body at that point when you've had a whole kickboxing career and this successful of an MMA career, which has been crazy, man.
Real quick, now that we're on him right now, let's talk about just his UFC career, right? So far.
Yep.
His first fight in the UFC was November of 21.
Crazy.
That's crazy just in itself. That was only 3 years
ago. 2 titles in 2 weight classes in 3 years.
Yep. So, yeah, then he beat Andres Micheladas. That was his Andreas Micheladas, that first fight. Then Bruno Silva in March of 22. So that's 3 months later. Then in July of 22, another 3 months. Well, was that 3 months? 4 months later, he beat Sean Strickland, right?
Yep. I remember that one.
Then he wins the title in November of 22. So that's 4 fights in 1 year. November of 21 to November of 22. And he wins the championship against Israel Adesanya. Right? Then he loses to Adesanya in April of 23. So that's, again, 4 months later. 4 months later, he beats Jan Blachowicz. So he moved up, right?
Yep.
Then he beats Yuri in November of 23. And then he beats Jamal Hill at UFC 300.
in April 24, a year later.
Yeah.
So it's like his timeline's pretty sick. It's pretty
It's so
legendary
crazy.
already.
And now he's jumping in again
So then
in
how crazy
June.
is it going to
So
be if
that's
he's
2 months.
what if he's fighting John Jones for the heavyweight title next year?
That's totally possible. That's not even.
It's
See,
crazy.
you know what? That should happen because we've been screwed over over a bunch of like, legend fights. Like that should happen.
They should do it at a catchweight.
I don't. I think Pereira would even just fight him at his
Oh, they'll
normal
do it at
weight.
heavyweight.
Yeah.
I think it'd be cool to do it at a catchweight though. Like, no, you gotta that way maybe keep John Jones a little down. You gotta meet me at like we'll do like 220 or two.
Well,
Like they meet it somewhere around there.
if Pereira's going to move up and fight John Jones, he wants that title. He wants to be the first 3 division champ.
I know it's just tough because you figure, what do you think Pereira would want to? What do you think he'd step in at? Maybe 230.
Yeah, 235, something like that.
Okay, so that's not too far off. I just didn't want him to. You don't want to be like 15 pounds. You don't want to give up that much to a guy that like John Jones is trying to take you down because that's what we'll probably see. Like if Pereira can't get hands on him, John Jones is not going to mess around, and he's going to want to test the ground game out immediately.
We're getting way ahead of ourselves.
I know, but it's
he's
so
got to get
fun.
through Yuri again first. It's fun.
Just we're just daydreaming. That's all. But no, there's a lot of there's a lot going on in that weight. I kind of like he really makes that weight class awesome to me because that's a weight class that without a star in it, it lacks in my opinion. I don't know what it is. I don't know.
I think it's been.
I feel like it's shallow,
even with the star, even with
no, it definitely
when John
is.
Jones was in it.
It definitely is. But I think there's other weight classes that I could maybe point to that are a little more shallow. It's harder now. It's definitely harder now.
Yeah.
But, 205 is just one of those weight classes for me.
Yeah, I agree. Well, let's get on
So
to
it's awesome.
Your co-main event, which we were both super pumped when they announced this.
Dude, I can't wait for this.
And they didn't even have to. They didn't even have to because they
That's why I think the card's better.
Yeah. Brian Ortega and Diego Lopes.
Oh,
or Lopez.
Dude. Well, you know how big I am on Diego Lopez. I think it is Lopez. I've heard Lopez a lot.
Yeah.
Until I hear it a bunch of times, we'll run with it. But Diego Lopez, dude, this is going to be a very big step up. Just because Brian Ortega is dangerous in so many different ways, and against a guy that's like very forward, heavy, and very aggressive, you could very well see Ortega catch him in some type of submission with how good his front chokes are.
Yeah.
Like just how sneaky he is. Because you just don't see it. I would imagine you don't see his type of movement and his type of submissions with anyone you're training with until you're in there, and it's probably very alarming. When I bet you the certain guys just get a hold of you and are just different, I would imagine. And I think Ortega's one of them. But man, that fight is great, dude. Because I'm a big Diego Lopez fan. I think they got a star right there if he keeps winning, because he is just, dude.
Well, this is definitely going to put him in a spot. What
is it, 3rd and 14, Jim? Is it? He's Ortega's 3 and 14. Okay.
This is going to be.
I'm sorry. What were we going to say?
It's going to be a big lesson for Diego Lopez either way, win or lose.
Yes.
Just to know where he's at and what what his next step should be. Because obviously you're not going to run through Brian Ortega, and if you do, well then now like I don't think that's going to happen.
I agree. I don't think it will either, but you never know with someone like that. He seems like he has real power. He's real aggressive. He's kind of like, I don't know. His style is kind of weird. I would think that his shots seem like they're kind of, might be different, a lot of different angles than a lot of traditional.
Yeah.
Like he just seems like he's so aggressive. Like he's just trying to, I think he just trusts his power so much. He just knows if he just touches you. So he kind of can throw things at weird angles where there's no telegraph or wind up. And he's just like a. But goddamn, man, Ortega's not. He's not someone that's easy to stop at all. So it's in either way, So especially good
And when
good
was
luck submitting his ass.
When was Ortega's last fight? Let's see.
I have probably to have been a little bit, but okay, that's not long at all.
Yeah, maybe I missed it.
That's good. I don't know if I watched. That's good. I couldn't tell you who was it.
Rodriguez.
Oh, okay, Yair, yeah, he did beat Yair.
Oh yeah.
Which is a huge fight. I mean, Jesus, dude, how scary is Yair?
Dude, I was high on him. Man, I wanted.
Well, as far as standing in front of someone, he's up there, pound for pound, any weight class.
Yeah.
He is terrifying to stand in front of.
Dude, his kicks are amazing too. Yair Rodriguez is so much fun.
Crazy. I'd like to see him fight live.
So then the other one, so Carlos Ulberg is staying in, but Anthony Smith stepped in on short notice, which is awesome because Anthony Smith had a big win last time.
He did, and there's another. There's what gets rewarded, Yep. You have a big step up against the guy that people are talking about at 205, which is that Vitor Petrino, which I was too. Like I saw chinks in his armor because he did have seemed like he might have had some issues with his maybe cardio maybe management of it. Seemed like he'd gassed a little bit, which is you're gonna fight the high level guys. It's not a put it this way, you fight in the same weight class Bejeda, you don't want to be standing in front of him in the second or third gas.
Yeah.
So
no.
Not a good business decision. So but that's like you said, it's all about lessons. So it's like, could Diego Lopez surprise people? Maybe. Ortega could very well win this fight, and then Lopez will make his run to a title or run for a shot at it. But it happens a lot where it gets delayed. You might lose a fight or two. These guys are so good. So it's like you're not going to win all of them. So I could see Ortega maybe catching him in a submission or something. But it's the same with Anthony Smith. You figure, I think a lot of people are probably just thinking Ulberg's going to win by some type of knockout or stoppage. And I would think that's your number one. If you're asking how it's going to go down, that's probably my number one guess. But my number two guess would be Anthony Smith might drag him down and submit him.
Yeah,
so
don't sleep on Anthony Smith. He looked great
not at all,
Petrino.
Man. He's very good on the ground. He is.
He also has the experience under the bright lights, man. Like he's
the big dude, man.
Pressure is not a thing to him anymore. He's been in the game for a long time.
Nope. Yeah, he's fought in a lot of big fights at big shows on the regional scene in the Midwest when he was coming up. I remember watching him before he was in UFC. He's fought a lot. He's had those, so his experiences could show in this fight, but we'll see.
And like you
said, that's a big fight.
We both agree this card is. Obviously, I'd love to see Chandler McGregor.
For sure.
This card is
way
a
better.
Lot better. And
far better.
Dude, with everything that's happened, we forgot. You still have Ian Gary and MVP. You still got Cub Swanson and Andre Feely. You still got Peyton Talbot. You still got Andre Arlovsky. You still got Ricky
Joe
Simon.
Pfeiffer. Did you mention him?
Joe Pfeiffer. Yep.
That's a big fight because he's going to try to get one back because he had his lesson learned in his last fight a little bit, right? Where he seemed like he lost to Hermanson. It might have been a little too soon for him.
Yeah.
That Hermanson's been there. He's been up in the top rank, so that'll be cool to see him back. And yeah, the card's very good. Charles Jourdain's really nice, really fun to watch.
I can't wait, man. This is gonna be a good couple weeks.
It's a very good card, man.
And we're also going to do
Andre Arlovsky. That's wild.
Do a pre and a post on both of these events coming up. So if anybody's listening, you'll have something to listen to.
Oh, absolutely. Nice. So you would do it for the pay-per-view, and you want to do one for the Saudi Arabia as well, right?
Yeah. We'll do Friday night for Saudi Arabia just because, like you said, it's an early card. I'll start, what did it say? The main card starts at like noon your time, so 9 a.m. my time.
Yeah, and we could do the post right after the fights end. That'd be sick. That'd be sick, dude.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah, right after. I might have a couple mules, but I'll make sure I'm there with it,
Yeah.
But no, I'm very much it. it's it's a lot. It was a lot of things that happened different. Where I think the Chandler McGregor fight getting canceled kind of didn't really come to any surprise because I just kind of saw it. If I felt like the last couple of weeks I was waiting for it to happen any day. Like
Yeah.
it didn't surprise me because you don't cancel that big of a press conference if there's something real.
Yeah.
So that's probably around the time he had the injury. They probably thought it was worse than it was. It probably wasn't maybe it wasn't like terrible, but when you've already had a surgically repaired ankle, even just rolling it and then it ballooning up, you might think it's serious. Get an X-ray, it's negative, and then you think you're good, but then. Plus, I'm not trying to talk shit. You know how much of a big fan I was over the years of him, but let's be honest, it would be insulting for him to act like he's training the same level he was when he was making his featherweight run and when he was really taking it
Yeah.
serious. I just don't think it's the same Conor. It doesn't mean that he can't knock anyone out any given night if it's all right, but I just don't think we're going to see the same. It's unfortunate, but I just don't think we're going to see the Conor that we like that Conor that won against Eddie Alvarez that night.
Oh, that was his best performance.
That was a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Because if people haven't watched how like Eddie Alvarez is an absolute dog, like absolutely.
And if I remember correctly, Eddie Alvarez, who did he beat to win that title?
RDA, Dos Anjos.
And Alvarez
TKO,
looked amazing at that point in his career. And then, like I honestly thought Conor was going to have a really hard time with him, and he just lit him up.
Because he couldn't even get to his leg. He couldn't even get near a takedown. It just seemed like it was one of those fights when it just seemed like there was nothing he was throwing him around to. It just seemed like that was when he was at his absolute tip top. And that's kind of what happens, man. Like, I think if you're asking me, I think if I was Conor, I would just talk shit to the end of time about Floyd Mayweather, how I would kill you if we ever fought for real, and never have that boxing match. Keep your UFC career going. That Habib fight might have been different because when that fight started and he was defending takedowns against Habib in the center of the octagon, it was looking different where we haven't really seen that from people fighting Habib. You know what I mean? Where it was short bursts. It was short, but you were just seeing a different, and that was just, I think at that point he already had been not really training. So it's like to the same level. Yeah, so you kind of wonder
it's kind of
what would happen
to think about those.
Sorry.
No, it's all right.
It's kind of you wonder what would happen if he kept his UFC run right after that Alvarez fight and just did nothing else. Because you're always going to make money, man. That dude was too charismatic. He's always going to be rich. So he was always going to make this money. So
yeah, but
see,
the only thing
I understand you take that fight. I get it.
Yeah, I mean,
easy to say it now.
Also,
easy to say it now.
Also, not just for him, but for what it did for the UFC as well.
It was it was huge. I totally get that too, but I also would argue that maybe not to the same level. This was going to happen with MMA. Like, we knew it, dude. That's why we've been such a fan over the years. Like, there'll always be stars. They might be different. They might be brighter than others, but there'll always be huge stars in the sport. Yeah. I'm talking about more like if you looked at it like, all right, is money the goal? Is money the motivation? That's fine if it is. Or is it like legacy? Because if you're looking legacy, I would have went a different route. That's all.
Yeah, no, I hear you. Because
sticking with MMA,
we're traditionalists. We're like, we like to see dominant fighters, and skillful, but a lot of people just watch it because of the pageantry and the storylines and
I get that.
It's both
great.
The
violence.
They're both great. They're both needed. But I know what you're saying. Yeah, if you want to be like that Michael Jordan, Tom Brady type, you have to do both. You have to be charismatic. You have to have everything that Conor has, but you also have to have a lot of victories under your belt, while defending the belts and stuff like that. Like, that's one thing about Conor. Like, when we talk about who's the best MMA fighter and this and that, and Conor's name comes up, it's like he's never once defended any of the belts that he's ever gotten.
Yeah, it's tough. It's like there's a lot of reasons. Like, So that was one of them. And then if we're talking about those type of fighters, I think he's changed it in positive ways as far as people want to do multiple belts and make these fights happen that are cool. But at the same time, I also think that if you're trying to, we're talking about just like for legacy, when you win a title, I want anyone that talks, like if I was a guy who had a certain belt, I'd be like, all right, anyone who fights in my weight class now, anyone who says that they have a chance, that's who I want to fight.
Yeah.
So I want everyone to look and be like, oh, there's no one else.
Yep.
Then that's when I move up.
Yep.
But that's the way to do it, I think, as far as like honing your craft. I think the more time that he would spend in the weight class staying in that, and he'd have the more success.
Yeah,
I think when you're ballooning up, going up to 170, I didn't love those moves. I didn't think they were good moves. Yeah. I think he was doing it more for ego and more for like, maybe not ego, but more for like talking about, I've been in 3 weight classes. Yeah. So you're doing it more just to talk about that as opposed to like what it does for your legacy.
Yeah, that's why we're both on the same page, man. We're purists. That's what I meant. Not traditionalists. We're purists in the sport. We like that shit,
Hell yeah.
And I think that's why we have similar ideas on, what should happen next and this and that. But one question. So now with this fight being, let's say, postponed, it only makes sense to have it at the Sphere, right?
I mean, yeah.
If
they can do that, yeah. If
that'd
that's
be pretty crazy.
It's almost like I could get into like even more where like I am a pretty harsh critic of Conor McGregor now these days. There's just been so many times he's done things that I just hated.
Yeah.
So
same.
It's really rubbed me the wrong way, and it's like I don't know. I just until I found out there's an injury, I was wondering. I was like, all right, is he not wanting to do these press conferences with a guy like Chandler? Because I think Chandler on the mic can probably hold his own with him. So I think it's not really a good time in his career to be on these press conferences talking the same type of shit.
Yeah.
Because you haven't been successful against the top guys as much now. So I always wondered about how much he could go into that. And I don't know. This fight has always seemed weird. Even when they were in the Ultimate Fighter, I just didn't feel like this fight's going to happen.
Yeah.
And I still kind of don't now. I don't know if this fight's going to happen anymore.
Well, what I want is Conor to fight one more time and be done. I want this to just like, I want to see the return just because I want to see the energy. Because I think it'll be awesome to watch. I think we all know how it's going to, well, I shouldn't say that. I have a feeling of how it's going to end. And then I think he should just sail off into the sunset with all his money and never come back.
I mean, if you want to fight one more guy, have him fight Makhachev. That'll be the final. Jesus, like,
yeah. Well,
I just don't. I don't know. I just don't. I just think a lot of his. He hasn't had a lot of progression in his strikes. I think, like he'll talk about how great his striking is, but he gets exposed a lot, like in striking sequences when he gets. Like you can call it gas, you can call it tired, you can just I don't know what it is. He just seems to lose a little bit of his. I don't think he holds power well. But yeah. I don't know. I don't think his like his technique when he seems to get tired is. He seems like, you see them like bouncing around and he's very agile, and all of a sudden when he gets, I don't know if it's tired, but he just seems like he's so upright and flat-footed.
Well, he also.
It's like his whole everything changes.
He also kind of crumbles when he gets hit.
Yeah, he doesn't respond well to adversity in a lot of those situations. So it's like, and I just think a lot of that's just you're not putting in the hours as much as you used to be.
Yeah, and you never had to go through the fire of like fighting someone really difficult and like, I don't know. I feel like he's always on this like, he has this very specific like movie of himself playing in his head, and when things don't go that way, he just doesn't handle it well and he crumbles like it like falls apart right in front of him, and then he has to like double down on his shit talk and other things.
Yeah, no, it does seem like there's a lot of times where it's hard to be that critical in that way, but you could only judge it on what you see as your as you're watching it. You just got to be objective. Like it might seem harsh, it might seem like you're talking shit, but it's like it does seem that way. And it was kind of like with Habib, and when I was talking about that fight, I was just saying like there weren't many times you see someone actually sprawl a bit on him in the center there, and kind of like it seemed like Habib didn't take the best shot, the first one. So when you're watching it live, you're like, oh shit, I haven't really seen this as much before. And he was kind of like, he just looked like he was defending it well. He looked like he was prepared.
Yeah.
But then like as soon as it started to go a little poorly, then you see him, he had a couple, people forget about that. He had a couple, like fouls, like grabbing cage or like kick, like trying to knee to the ground opponent. Remember, he was doing there's a couple different things that were not quite legal. So it's like, as soon as it started to go sideways, you saw that a little bit. Like, that's not a good sign. So it's just like, you're right. It's just like, you see a lot of that as opposed to like a guy like, which we love, like Dustin Poirier, who just seems like he's always in a fight. Because there's just no quit in that dude.
Yeah,
and people can make like people can make like things about like submissions as quitting. It's not quitting, man. Someone got you in a submission. So what do you want them to do? Go to sleep every time? Like that doesn't like just because you want them to, like that doesn't mean that they quit. Just means the guy that's submitting them is pretty damn good. But sorry, what were you gonna?
I was gonna say that you know, these really good fighters that have been sticking around for a long time, like Dustin Poirier, like Charles Oliveira, like Makhachev. The beautiful thing about watching them fight is everything they do is based on the circumstances of what's going on at the moment. You know what I mean? Like they're actually really good, well-rounded MMA fighters. So they perform their best every time, no matter what the situation is. Like you can put them in any situation, and they're always gonna do their best. And you know, like even in that Dustin fight where, you know, he's defending. I mean, he had to defend a lot of rear naked chokes and all kinds of stuff. Dustin's always in that situation, and he's like making the best choices he can make at the time, and he even got out of him sometimes. Like Makhachev, you know, you say he's supposed to be this wrestler, but if the fight's standing up, he looks pretty good. Like,
and he's so dangerous.
Yeah,
he's so dangerous on the feet.
Same with Charles Oliveira, more of a submission guy, but when he's on his feet, he looks pretty good. He can box with the best of them. So
heavy-handed.
They're all well-rounded. Even Dustin, who's a boxer or a kickboxer, like when he goes to the ground, he knows what he's doing down there. It's not like he's, I don't know. That's why like you said, like Conor, someone like Conor kind of drives me nuts because he could be this pure MMA juggernaut that we all like looked up to, and he's just, I don't know. He could be so much further ahead, and I wonder what that would look like, you know?
Yeah, I think like I said, it's easy. It's easy for anyone to look at it like after the fact, and it's like they call like Monday morning quarterback and all that shit. But it's just easy for us to do that. But with that said, that's just what we think is the best. Like I just think that it would have been better if after he had that type of such a high level masterpiece against someone like Eddie Alvarez, and you got that second title, I would have kind of figured out what I wanted to do. You're probably done with 45 anyway. So you just vacate that, and then you defend your lightweight. I just feel like if you're defending a belt against a guy like Habib as he's coming up, and you've been training MMA solely those couple years before that fight happens, you're just in a different position to take on that fight. But when you take a break from all that sparring, of all that wrestling, of all the kicks you're doing, of all that, just what MMA brings as a whole, and then you just go so dialed into boxing, I just don't think you're gonna be able to compete with the highest level MMA guys when you get back. It just doesn't seem like
you lose ground.
There are very many guys. Yeah, exactly. There's a lot. And people would say it's one fight, it's two fights, but it's not. It's like 2 or 3 years of your life.
But especially
your prime.
Especially how fast the sport's moving, especially back then what are you talking,
Yeah.
2015 or whatever it is, how fast the sport has moved since 2015. It's
Yeah.
crazy. It's a wholly different place now. And that's only 10 years ago. You know?
It's insane.
It's
Yeah.
just crazy what's happened.
Yeah, you figure, let's see, 10 years. So 10 years, I want to say the first time Conor and Dustin Poirier fought, when Conor beat him the first time, was like September 2014, because I met Poirier that International Fight Week that summer before. So there you go. Talk about like the position 10 years, how crazy it has been.
Yeah.
Like look at like Poirier's career. Like you didn't, after he took that loss, you didn't really know what was going to happen with that. And then look where he is now. Like all he's accomplished, making all these runs up and down. People would say, well, yeah, he lost him. It's like, well, so what? You fought the best and lost.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, I understand he didn't get his ultimate goal, but it's like to even act like his career is not a 1% type career in that sport. It's like, come on, man. You'd kill for that career.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, seriously. Like, especially just like at the end of the day, you're walking around these UFC events, and it's like if Conor keeps going the way he's going, who's going to look better walking around these events when they're retired, him or Poirier? Who's going to get the head nods and the right respect from fighters?
I know, right? Yeah, I know.
That would mean more to me, man. Seeing other fighters and seeing them kind of wanting to talk to you as opposed to kind of just being businesslike and saying what's up. But I just big fan of I'm a big fan of Poirier, and it just draws a lot of comparisons because you saw a lot of where Conor's kind of went with. You just don't, like the partying and shit and all, like, I don't know, like the movies. Like I didn't see it. Did you see it? Is it even a good movie?
No, I didn't watch it. I heard
Like,
it's bad, actually.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. I just feel like if I was a fighter, that's what I want to do. So it's like, if you want to maybe do a couple like stupid commercials or TV ads, whatever, that's like, that could be like just a small amount of time, as opposed to shooting these movies. The product is what? Like, I don't know.
Yeah. Well,
Then you wonder why you get hurt. Like, I would think a lot of reason why you get hurt is because you're probably not
training.
Yeah, exactly. You're not actively training. You're not in your best shape you could possibly be in.
Yeah.
So to act like you're going to beat these guys who are in the best shape of their, like they've never really get out of shape, some of these guys. So, I don't know. I'm just a harsh critic on him because of how much of a fan that I have been over the years. So
yeah, you're more of a fan of the sport than you are the.
Oh, I always
certain
take the
guys.
sport.
Yeah, it's always about the sport, which I agree.
Yep.
I'm with you. We see eye to eye on that for sure. But at least we
I gave him a
still
lot of chances.
we still have a great, amazing UFC 303 card. And like I said, critic or no critic, I will absolutely enjoy watching Conor if he comes back and fights Chandler. And I'm looking forward to that. So
I'll be watching 100%. Yeah. It seems like it's more like, because he gets a lot of the hate, and I think it's from people that hate him. I'm not that. Like, I've always been a huge fan of him. So it's just like, you just kind of see, it's more like disappointing. Some of the things you're like, oh, come on, man. Like, you don't need to be. Like, it's just like, how did you think that was going to look? Like, I think a lot of times when these guys get big in all these sports, you can kind of tell when there's maybe not that many people telling them things they might not want to hear, but they should hear. Like, too many yes men, like when they get big. It could be a lot of that, man, which, but who knows? He kind of operates on his own thing. So it's like you said, you'll always want to see him compete. It's just, you want him to take something that's this dangerous and this crazy 100% serious and have your undivided attention to it. Because it's just like, that way you'll see the best product of him. Because it's like, come on, man, we talked about it. The Eddie Alvarez fight. How great someone like that looked.
Yeah, I think we just want to see the lion come out again, like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't feel like, well, there's a lot of fighters like that though, but Conor's on a different level because of everything else he's got going on in his life. It's like,
there's so much stacked.
There's nothing to be hungry for anymore. He could do whatever he wants, so, and they were saying that back after he fought Floyd Mayweather, when he got that $100 million, it was like, does he really want to get in the gym and sweat and work hard and He's done so much. He doesn't really have to do much anymore. It's unfortunate because I don't know, man. Like he still could do it if he had that fire in him still. So,
Oh, for sure. It's just the hard. It's like I said. It's you're not going to beat these guys that all they think about is training.
yeah,
That's all they do. They're not because most of these MMA guys, a lot of especially when you talk about those like that's what makes those guys so great. Like next level discipline is those like all those Russian guys. They're not partying. They're not drinking.
no,
They're not doing any of that. They're not doing any of that. So that's another advantage they have on you right before even any work's done.
yeah,
Before either one of you put any work in, they already have an advantage on you.
yep.
So then you have to try to get advantages on them, and it's just not the way. You're not going to beat these guys
yeah,
going about it the way you've been going about it. You know, you can just see it even when you see him hitting pads and stuff. You can tell the shots he thinks are supposed to be knockout blows. Like don't fight like that.
yep.
Like that shot's not supposed to like that's not you can't depend on that because that's why you get countered. That's why you end up on your back is because people can tell when you're loading up a shot that you think is going to be like what happened about the accumulation? Like that's what was so amazing about the Eddie Alvarez one. Like that finishing sequence where he was just touching, but everything hurt him.
Yeah.
Everything he was hitting with hurt him. It's just I want to see that again. But I know we got way off the rails, but that was kind of like that was kind of just because of what that card meant and how long it's been, and it's so frustrating. Like we should have already mentioned it, just how bad we feel. I know you do too for Michael Chandler. Because it's like part of him has to feel like this is like somewhat, I don't want to say done on purpose, but somewhat like he's wasting his time. Like it just seems like he just doesn't.
Yeah.
Just seems like he has no respect for his time.
Well, luckily with Chandler, I mean, he's already had a pretty amazing career. He's,
Yes.
he doesn't have much more to prove besides maybe winning a title.
But he has a lot more to give to the game, I bet you, if you ask him. So like,
yeah, but then again, like if all you want is the title, then why are you fighting Conor McGregor?
I think he just wants big fights. I think he's just, I mean, he'll get a. You never know. He could get a shot at the title because it's just.
See, then it's like, how long do you wait if you're Michael Chandler? How long do you wait? Because he's top 3.
I'd be done. I'd be done.
Yeah, he's top 3. What do you walk? He could have a fight next month if he wanted to, right?
I would just basically. I would kind of like after it's all you like wish him well. I hope you heal up like he did because neither one of them want to see anyone hurt like that. But at the end of the day, Chandler's got to look at it like, all right, my next fight is against someone other than you. If you fight someone else and you win, and then I fight and I win, then we'll do it. I'm not saying it's done. But as far as you being my next opponent, I would say no way. I'm moving on for now.
Yeah.
I need to get a fight back. So, but that's just kind of how I would look at it if I was Chandler. Because it's like he's got to be mid-30s. What is he, probably 35, 36 maybe?
Something like that,
I'm guessing around that age. So he might only have a little bit left, if that. Like you said, he's done it all already. Just because you weren't a UFC title holder, just because you didn't win a title. I mean,
he's 38.
Just the fact that he's
38.
38. Okay, I figured he's had a long career, man. You figure he had those fights with anyone who's just an MMA fan, even if especially if like you're new. Watch those fights in what was it, Bellator he had with Eddie Alvarez. Jesus.
Yeah, he's
just some great back and forth fights. But I just think he should move on, fight someone. There's too many fights out there, and the division's kind of still wide open. I mean, Gamrot's kind of right on the outside. I think he's coming up. He'll be someone who's going to, I think, be a problem for people. But Sharukian's the guy for Makhachev next.
Yep.
And then if Makhachev takes him out and beats him again, because he beat him by a close decision the first time, right? So if he beats him, then you're kind of looking at like, well, there's no like real guy that jumps out. So you never know. Chandler could get a big win and slide right in there.
Yeah.
Just, so that's why I think he should move on. Because I just don't think a win off Conor McGregor is that big anymore. It's not the same thing that it was.
Yeah.
So it's a big money fight, but
we'll see if it gets a new date or whatever. It'll be fun to watch either way. And
What were they saying? September-ish, October, I think.
yeah,
Or
I
is that
mean
just maybe a
we'll see.
rumor?
Yeah, we'll see. I
Yeah,
don't know. But let's
we'll see, man.
let's wrap this one up. Dan, as always, it's always good talking to you. And today was interesting. I know we went off the rails a couple times there, but it's good to think. This is why we love the sport. We're thinking about things.
Relevant.
We're seeing what happens.
Yeah.
What does this all mean? Where's this going? What can we see happening? What would be exciting? What would be, what would be fun to see come up next? And these next two cards in the next 2 weeks are going to be awesome. So.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, we went off the rails, but we didn't go off to, we weren't talking about cooking recipes. We were still talking about sport, so
yeah,
we were still there.
We weren't completely in bumfuck Egypt. So.
Yeah, I mean, we were getting off the exit, but no, like always, man. It's always fun. Looking forward to. I really like the double podcast one because it gets you kind of all weekend into it. Like I'm like really doing more prep, so I'm really looking forward to the next couple weekends because we got some great fights and man, especially one during the day. Love that.
Yeah.
But like, hey, it's unfortunate. I hope Conor McGregor gets healthy. I hope he's happy. I hope he's content if he retires because I still feel like he still wants to fight, but I feel like he still wants to fight for the wrong reasons.
Yeah.
But the guy has a crazy existence. Like to be able to to be able to maintain the stardom he has, people can't fathom it. So I'm just a harsh critic because of how big of a fan I am. So it's not.
Yeah.
Might seem disrespectful, but it's not. So I hope he gets better. I hope he comes back and fights and wins, whether it be against anyone. So same thing with Chandler. So 303, honestly, dude, 303 card looks better now anyway. So it is what it is. Like that's one good thing about it is that main card still is just as good, if not better, depending on how you look at it. So, very much looking forward to the next couple weeks, Jim. Let's go.
We all win, man. It's going to be great.
Hell yeah. No, it's great.
Anyone listening, thank you for the support. Share, subscribe, tell people, send links, text, whatever. The more people we can get to listen to this, the more we can create this little MMA community where we can all talk and we'd like to hear your ideas on what's going on and your opinions and all that. That'd be fun. You can follow us on Instagram at pinnacle_combat. And we also have a YouTube channel where you can find all these podcasts just so it's easier to listen to and find. That's also our YouTube channel is pinnacle_combat. You can hear all this stuff on Spotify. Thanks for listening, and we will catch you next week.
Hell yeah.
All right. Peace.
Peace.